Hey, this is Sean B. Bradley. We're here in our little mini 5 group, or whatever you want to call it. We're in my personal office, whatnot. I've got the general manager, internet director, Dick Edwards. I got the president of Peruzzi Toyota. One thing that I keep getting, and you just had, Steve just asked the question, is incremental business. Meaning, yeah, this is all great and everything like that, but there's so many dealerships. You guys aren't the only ones. That's one of the biggest questions we get. Is it incremental business? Now, true story. This just happened at one of my Chicago dealerships with AutoTrader. This is crazy. What AutoTrader told me and the dealer, general manager and the internet director was this: the way that they calculate stuff is just unbelievably weird. Before, they used to say, well, we're not a lead source provider, we are a classified listing. We get most of our leads through phone ups. As a matter of fact, 8 to 9 times more likely somebody's going to be on the internet to call you than email you. I get that. But the phone leads were starting to drain down. So what they're telling us now is that, well, people are going to AutoTrader and they're just walking in, and that's an AutoTrader lead. And then we said, well, what about the fact that people are going on to the website, they're driving by, and they happen to see, AutoTrader? What I'm trying to say to you, you've got a $1 billion company that's saying that, just because they glanced at a website once, they didn't make a decision to go, but they just happen to visit there. The problem is, and this is the thing, is that the internet, 92% of domestic and I guess say the average dealership of Toyota, Honda, Ford, Chevy, and then when you go into Highline like Mercedes-Benz or BMW, it's like 99 to almost 99.4% of people are going online. So to be able to track exactly what business is incremental, it's not impossible, but it's difficult. So this is the measure that we say. It's that if you want to project, let's say if you want to sell 50 cars, okay, it's not just on a 10% closing ratio. You can't just turn around and set up your lead source providers. I'm going to get 500 leads. I'm going to close, 10%, that's 50 cars. Because what's going to happen, Billy, and we've done this before, is that you have 500 leads, and you're going to sell 50 cars. How do you do that? You get 100 people to show up. To get 100 people to show up, you need to make 200 appointments. It makes sense. Car people, 50, 50, 50. 200 appointments, 100 people show up, 50 people buy cars. But at the end of the month, Steve, you're correct. You're not going to net increase 50 incremental deals. So what we do is we figure out, beginning with the end result in mind, how many cars do you want to net increase? So if you want to net increase 50 cars, what I always tell dealers is that you should be selling 65 to 68 cars. To sell 65 to 68 cars, you need 650 to 680 leads. So follow me on this. If you get 650 leads, you sell 65 units out of that, you'll probably net around the 50 deals. Does that make sense? Because what's happening also is how you get the leads. Because, if you just, and this is very, very important for people watching this, if you just, put a stupid perimeter circle or circumference around your dealership with lead source providers, you're cannibalizing. Do you see what I'm saying? So to be able to answer your question, it's a little more strategic. It's not just putting a circle around your story and getting those leads there, because I could turn around and say, if I'm right here, and this is where Dick Maxwell dealership is. I mean, sorry, Dick Edwards, dealership is. I have a Maxwell dealership. His name is Dick as well. And you put the dealership right here. Let's say if I start getting leads from over here outside your PMA. Do you see what I'm saying? And then I get leads over here from outside your PMA. Or I get leads that if you are, which I know you're not, a single point Ford dealership, let's say I'm going to start attacking Chevrolet. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, those leads are truly incremental leads because they're coming outside your PMA and they're coming from other brands you're trying to conquest. So to answer your question very intellectually, you can really, really calculate what your net increase is if you properly set up your ratio. Does that make sense? But can you, now because I cut you off, can you answer him from your perspective, how much was incremental and how do you quantify?
Well, when we measured it, when we first started the internet department, like I was telling you, we looked at it about 40% of it because we were still getting the same amount of leads in, the same amount of internet leads in. It wasn't like I was stealing floor traffic and we were starting to count, well, that was an internet lead, and all we were doing is handling it, putting it in that framework of follow-up, and then seeing more people show up as a result of that. What I was telling you about the leads, what I do at the end of each month, say you have 1,000 leads, and this is the eye-opener in the internet department. Say you have 1,000 leads that come into your store. There's really 3 ways that I measure it. I measure it electronic leads that come in, phone leads that come in, and walk-ins that come in. Whether the walk-ins from service, repeat, refer, whatever, but I look at pure foot traffic versus electronic and phone. look at the ratio of that. Look at electronic and phone versus true foot traffic, and you'll see that electronic and phone, at least for us, always counts, on the low end, counts for 70% of my total incoming traffic. Now, after you get over the shock of seeing that, then you look at, okay, I have two people, you have two coordinators handling 70% of my total incoming traffic, and then you look how many salesmen you have.
We got 10.
You got 10 salesmen, probably 3 or 4 managers, you got F&I people, right? Okay, now I have 20 people handling 30%. And then when you see that, then you start putting numbers to it, see the closing ratios, see, you know, you have every process in the world for the internet department. When, you know, if you decide to do this, I don't even know if you're doing it, but here's your process.
Yeah, they're ready.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
They're married.
Okay, you're holding them accountable, you're looking at phone calls, you're looking at closing ratios, what's happening to the gestation period, what's happening to the unsolds 90 days back, are we doing email blasts, what are we doing? And then you look out front, and out of your 10 guys, there's 8 of them smoking, sitting on the bench, waiting for the next up that's gonna close at 10% if they give you the right information.
Bill, let me
You know,
just
so, I mean, and I think whether you're in Kansas, where our store's in
No,
Hatfield,
it's all numbers. It's all
out west, it doesn't matter, man, it is what it is. But when you look at that incoming traffic, you know, you've gotta harness that 70% somehow, man, because it's there, there's a ton of money laying there.
Bill, I want to stress again, because most dealers don't realize that, is that, can you be specific? Because I know I saw your leads. If you've got, how many walk-ins would you say that you had in June, approximately?
Total walk-ins, I think we were like a little over 500.
Oh, you had 500
530,
walk-ins, and how
540.
many internet leads did you have in June?
I know exactly, 1,033.
1,033.
Between electronic and phone.
So electronic and phone, 1,033, and then you had, you know, 500 walk-ins, and some of those walk-ins obviously started in as, you know, as
And they
internet,
did,
et cetera.
and you're never gonna drill down, it's impossible to drill down, and well, what's an internet lead, and did they start here? No, you have to just say, okay, instead of stressing about that, stress about your process and getting the deals together, you know what I mean? But when you see that, that is an eye-opener. Can you just shut that off 1 second?